Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to replace the Searchlight on top of this green goddess with a new bulb, and also we're going to be replacing the glass lens with a plexiglass alternative and some sealant. Let's get started. So the very first step then is to move the onboard ladder. You don't have to take it off the vehicle, just remove it back. So I've done that already. The second step then is we need to take off the cover for the Searchlight. Okay, so the first thing you'll probably notice then is that there is no, at the minute, glass cover or lens, and that's because it's already been broken. What we might as well do while we're here is we'll just remove this bulb. So the next thing we need to do then is loosen off these 3 screws here, and that will allow us to remove this outer cover, which usually would have the glass on the inside here. So let's get started. Okay, so of course it was never going to be that easy. I've now loosened off these 3 screws. It's clearly been quite a while since the outer cover has been removed, because it's pretty much seized on. Now I've tried a bit of WD-40 and a different penetrant oil, but it's just not releasing. So what I'm going to use then is I'm going to use a very small flathead screwdriver bit, very small. What I'm going to do then is outside the rim, all around, I'm going to place it there, gently tap on it then with a pair of pliers, just so it goes in a millimetre or 2, give it a little wiggle so it just frees it up, and I'll keep working my way all the way around the Searchlight, and then hopefully it should just pop off. One thing to note, if you do decide to do what I'm doing, be very careful, because this piece here, the metal, is very fragile. It's quite thin, and in my case it's quite brittle, and if you've got a better method, then put it in the comments below. That's glue. Why would anyone do that? Right, so that's the cover off then. So hopefully you should have a lot more luck getting this off easier without having to slowly but surely chisel away around the outside. For some unknown reason, there is definitely some remnants of glue along the ridgeline here, which I'm not really sure why anyone would be mad enough to do that, because that negates the whole point of the 3 screws and off. So I don't know why that's been done. I don't know if that's original or not. What would make sense is like a rubber washer that went around this, perhaps, you know, or a gasket even, that then when you tighten that down it clamped onto. Okay, so now we've got the cover off, we can see, so we've actually got some old glass there, so we'll just gently scrape that out. Okay, so it's looking quite oily because I use a lot of WD-40. Okay, so on the inside of the spotlight then, we can see this large reflective surface here. So the text then says, remove reflector to adjust focus. We're obviously not going to do that. Francis Searchlights, Bolton, Lancashire, England. Use only our special bulbs for this projector. For spares, quote, MKI TVCC. Okay, so now we're going to replace the missing lens from inside here with a plexiglass alternative. So I could have gone for glass this, but I haven't for a number of reasons. A, glass is more expensive. B, it's more fragile. So the third option then is it's just got a bit more give. So when we're installing it, if we need to bend it or move it about, there's a lot more give in it than a piece of glass. So what we need to do then, there are 4 screws, Phillips head screws, along the what would be the inside of the Searchlight. We're going to remove those, which allow us to pull out this back plane. Then we can clean out all the old sealant and all the gunk that's in there. We can then use a new sealant on the inside to put a small layer. We will then insert the plexiglass, and then we'll do an additional very small layer on the inside and on the outside, and then smooth it over with some paper towel and a finger, and that should give us a nice smooth finish that looks as clean as possible. I bought it from cutmyplastic.co.uk. It's not sponsored. Exactly what I bought then was 2mm clear polycarbonate, and the diameter was 157mm. If I was going to order again, I'd probably go for 159mm. Disc itself was only £3.90. Shipping and handling though was £8.29. Also, because I was doing a small order, they have a small order fee of £5.08. which means the total, excluding VAT, is £16.62, including VAT is £19.95. Okay, so I'm just using an old screwdriver here just to peel away, obviously, because the sealant is still stuck on some of this. There we go. Okay, so next step then is to remove all this old gasket and clean it up a little bit. Okay, so that's about as clean as I'm going to get it there, and that's good enough. So the idea then is to place the polycarbonate inside, which, wow, look at that. That is, wow, maybe 1 or 2 mil. That's probably about 2-3 mil, so maybe it's a 160. Okay, so make sure we got this lined up. What I'm going to be using then is this Loctite flange sealant, and it's black. To be perfectly honest with you, you can use any good sealant. Pre-cut, nice. Okay. Okay, you can always wipe any excess off. Okay. So now we'll remove that. Now, it's not the neatest of jobs at the minute, but we will fix that later. So the main thing is just to make sure there's at least a little bit all along the outside. So the next thing then is to ensure that this is also sealed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply a small bead all along. Okay. Put our screws back in. So I'm just going to press down on all the sides to make sure there is some seal. Okay, so the next thing then is, while it's still wet and fairly manoeuvrable, I'm going to try and remove the excess that's just coming out. Okay, so to clean off the surface then of any residue that might be remaining, and to sort of polish the plexiglass before we return it, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a bit of blue roll. You could also use a microfiber cloth. And then what you can use is either something like rubbing alcohol or anything that's basically going to dissolve the grease and any gunk that you've got on there. So in this instance, I'm just going to use some brake cleaner. I'll just spray that on there. Again, like I said, you can use so many different things. Rubbing alcohol is a great one. And that will just dissolve any of the residue that's remaining and just give it a nice streak-free finish. Obviously, you'll have to do it to both sides. Okay, so before we put the new bulb in and reinstall the cover, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly, using alcohol, wipe out the reflector plate and the inside of this to get rid of all the gunk inside.
Yo, Tony Ricky here, and that's right, former WWE superstar. If you're enjoying this video so far on PerksAuto, take 5 seconds to hit that subscribe button and like this video. Green goddesses are not cheap.
So the bulb itself then, this is what it looks like if you haven't seen one. So it's basically like the same sort of size as a bus bulb or a coach bulb, globe shape, bayonet, non-staggered, and then it's got this sort of chrome-like cover on the top. So initially when I took this out the Green Goddess to try and research these, I couldn't find them anywhere. I really struggled, so I looked in the instruction book, which I always bang on about. It's not listed in there anywhere. I only managed to find one supplier of these bulbs. This bulb then is called a projector lamp. I bought this bulb in particular, the replacement bulb, from uklightstore.co.uk. I'll put a link in the description. It's not sponsored. It's not cheap, but it is the only website I found. So the bulb itself then that I've purchased to replace this one is a 12 volt, 35 watt, and then it's a Bravo Alpha 15 Delta, so bayonet basically. On the website then it's described as a crown silver top professional light bulb lamp. So what this was listed for, and what you might be able to find sort of cheaper alternatives for if you want to do even more digging, this was for use in dental and surgical lights. So apparently they still use this type of bulb for that setting. The cost then, so one bulb was £28.20 and the postage is free. So again, it's the most expensive bulb I've replaced. I don't plan on using the Searchlight a whole lot, so I don't really plan on burning through a lot of these bulbs. Okay, so now we'll just stick the new bulb in then. Really important to note when handling these bulbs for the Searchlight, they're halogen bulbs, and obviously they've got this coating on the surface which you need to try and protect, because these bulbs will get quite hot, so any oil or grease that's on your fingers can cause these bulbs to fail prematurely. Make sure you're wearing a fresh pair of gloves when you do handle these, and avoid touching the outer bit of the bulb as much as possible. So I'm just going to use a bit of clean tissue around the bulb itself so I don't have to touch the glass. And it's just a bayonet bulb, so that just fits in. And then we'll just polish off like so. Okay, so now we'll reapply the cover. So, and that's the cover back on. So obviously you can see the screw that sheared off is there, just sort of sticking out because there's no way of reattaching that without trying to do a bit of welding, which I just don't think is worth it on such a small item. So what I'm going to do then for now is I'm going to leave it like this. It's still secure with these two here. And in the future we'll look to replace this. As you can see now, we've got a brand new plastic lens on top, and we've got a brand new bulb and a nice clean reflector on the inside. So the only thing left to do then is test this out.